So, what exactly is Hunger? When is the game coming out? Will it be available on consoles? And one I hear all the time, can I play it solo? These are just a few of the many questions I've been seeing about Hunger, and because of your curiosity, I've decided to dedicate this video to answering everything there is to know about the upcoming game from GoodFunCorporation. If there's a specific question you've been dying to get an answer to, you'll find handy timestamps in the video description. Just click and jump straight to the part you care about most. Of course, I'd be thrilled if you decided to watch the whole thing. Who knows, you might discover something cool you didn't even think to ask. Before we dive in though, I need to ask for a little favor. Yeah, I know, this part always feels a bit awkward, but here goes. If you're interested in Hunger, or if it even just slightly piques your interest, it would mean the world to me and the developers if you helped get the word out. Games like this rely heavily on early support, especially during early access. So if you like what you see, give the video a thumbs up to please the almighty YouTube algorithm gods. Or even better, drop a comment and tell me what you're most excited about. Are you hyped for PvE or more into the PvP chaos? And hey, if you've got friends who might be into it too, share the game or even this video with them. Every bit of attention helps, and the more people know about Hunger, the better chance it has to grow into something truly special. You'll also find links to both the cinematic trailer and the gameplay trailer in the video description, just in case you haven't seen them yet. But no worries, if you haven't clicked over, both trailers are playing quietly in the background of this video while I talk. Alright, enough housekeeping, let's jump right into the juicy stuff. Your questions. So, what exactly is Hunger? Hunger is a first-person PvPvE extraction shooter layered with rich RPG mechanics. But hey, before you rush to close the video thinking it's just another hardcore shooter, let me stop you right there. It will also include dedicated PvE content, but we'll get into those details shortly. The game is set in the early 1800s, in the middle of the Napoleonic Era. This was a turbulent time in Europe's history, marked by shifting powers and relentless war. But Hunger adds a dark twist. In its fictional vision of Europe, the continent is under siege, not by armies, but by an unknown bacterium. This infection turns survivors into grotesque abominations straight out of your worst nightmares. What remains is what survivors call the world after the end. And this is where you come in. Players take control of one of the so-called living, Hunger's take on heroes. In a world full of death, decay and danger, there is also opportunity. For those bold or desperate enough to risk it all, there's plenty to gain. And that's about it for the basic setup for Hunger. The next big question is actually a combo of three. When, where and how will Hunger be released? At this point, Hunger doesn't have an official release date locked in. What we do know is that the game is scheduled to launch in early access sometime in 2025. The early access phase is expected to last around 2 years, after which the full version of the game will be released. Initially, early access will only be available on PC, specifically through Steam and the Epic Games Store. Whether the game will make its way to consoles during or after early access is still unknown. That said, I'd personally be surprised if a broader launch, including consoles, wasn't part of the long-term plan. But please take that with a grain of salt, as it's purely speculation on my part. Another popular question that keeps coming up is, will the game be free to play? Nope, Hunger will not be a free-to-play title. The exact price hasn't been revealed yet, but the cost of the game will gradually increase over the course of early access, in step with new features and content being added. So, the more complete the game becomes, the higher the price will go. If I had to make an educated guess, I'd expect the starting price to land somewhere between 20 and 30 euros. Another question I've been getting a lot lately is, wow, this game looks amazing, what engine is it built on? Hunger is being developed using Unreal Engine 5, but nearly all of the in-game assets, including things like the icons in the user interface, are hand-drawn. The developers are putting a huge focus on custom-made content, with almost everything built specifically for this game rather than relying on generic asset packs. That handcrafted touch gives Hunger a really unique aesthetic and personality. And of course, whenever a new game enters the extraction shooter arena, comparisons are bound to happen. The most common one I hear is this basically like Hunt Showdown? It's a fair question, especially since both games share a similarly grim old world setting. On the surface, the vibe might remind you of Hunt, but I believe the gameplay experience will feel quite different. One of the most noticeable differences is the loot system. In Hunger, the core gameplay loop is more aligned with titles like Escape from Tarkov or Delta Force Operations. You don't just drop into the map to hunt down a boss and get out. Sure, there are mini-bosses and dungeons, but the real driving force is the loot you manage to extract. You're there to scavenge, survive and bring valuable gear back with you. And yes, if you die, you lose everything you were carrying. However, you do keep your experience and progress within the game's RPG systems, so it's not a total loss. Now, here comes a juicy one. What kind of content will we actually get to play when the game launches in early access? I'll start by giving you the official feature list shared by the developers, and then I'll add some extra context and behind the scenes details to paint a fuller picture. First off, there will be 3 large, distinctly different maps available at the start of early access, and 7 more maps are planned to be added by the time the game hits full release. Keep in mind that not all of these maps will be the same size. Think of it a bit like Escape from Tarkov, where you've got small maps like Factory or Labs and much larger ones like Woods. There are also plans for PvE only maps. These will let players join the action who prefer exploration, combat and looting without the anxiety of getting ambushed by another player. Now let's talk about weapons. The game will launch into early access with over 30 melee and ranged weapons, including both one- and two-handed melee weapons like axes, swords and even halberds. On the ranged side, you'll be packing firearms inspired by the historical weaponry of the late 1700s and early 1800s. This unique combination of slow, deliberate gunplay and gritty up-close melee brawling is designed to create a really distinctive combat feel. There's also going to be a huge variety of gadgets, medical supplies and tools in the game. Some of those gadgets and tools already have official renders, which look seriously cool. I'll actually be covering those in more detail in a separate video, so stay tuned for that if you're curious. The game will offer a wide range of customization options for characters, bags and weapons, most of which can be unlocked just by playing the game. There are already some early visuals showing how characters evolve and change as you level them up. Their looks, gear and even posture develop over time, and yes, we'll be taking a closer look at that in another deep dive video. Hunger will feature a deep, permanent RPG system that offers massive build diversity. Details are still a little bit scarce at this stage. There are only a handful of teaser images available, like the one you might see running in the background right now. But here's what we know for sure. Each living will have a unique set of passive and active abilities along with an ultimate skill. Every character comes with their own skill tree where you can unlock permanent talents as you progress. You'll be able to mix and match these talents based on your preferred playstyle. Want to move quietly and solo your way across the map, avoiding fights? You could specialize in silent movement or master the art of lockpicking. Prefer to be a frontline combat expert? You can build a character that reloads faster and switches weapons more efficiently. Or maybe you want to support your squad as a battlefield medic? You can invest heavily in healing skills, though at the cost of some offensive power. When early access launches, there will already be over 100 different talents available, giving players tons of flexibility to create unique, personalized builds. Hunger will feature a multiplayer social hub called the Chateau. We actually got a brief glimpse of it during the gameplay trailer. In the Chateau, you'll be able to interact with NPCs who will offer quests and intricate storylines, as well as merchants selling rotating stock of goods. This is also where you'll connect with other players to form groups, gear up, plan your next expedition, and once you're ready, set off in a hot air balloon to your chosen map. The developers have already announced that diverse and exciting endgame content like dungeons and bosses will be part of the experience. Right now, information is still pretty limited. Mostly just some concept art and a few map overviews have been shared. But don't worry, we'll take a much closer look at all of that in a dedicated detailed video soon. One thing that caught my attention is that there are no forced wipes planned. That's going to be super interesting to see because managing the in-game economy, especially when some players put in hundreds of hours, can get tricky fast. Oh, and here's a feature that makes me really happy. There will be proximity chat during expeditions. In my opinion, proximity chat is an absolute must-have in any good extraction shooter. Another big and exciting feature is the resource gathering and crafting system. There will be a wide variety of materials for players to collect during their expeditions, but unfortunately, there aren't many detailed insights available about the crafting system just yet. But personally, I'm looking forward to learning more. Hopefully, we'll get new information soon. And finally, one more major point to talk about. The developers are working on a player-driven marketplace for various in-game items. Now, this is where things get a little tricky. Player-run markets are always a double-edged sword. They instantly make the game a prime target for cheaters who could exploit the system to farm items and sell them for real money on shady third-party sites. Honestly, I personally wouldn't mind if they decided to skip trading altogether just to avoid the headache. But now to another important question. Who's actually developing Hunger? GoodFunCorporation is the studio behind it. After Team 17 acquired the rights to Hell Let Loose, several of the veteran developers decided to break away and establish their own independent company. Today, the studio has grown to around 30 to 40 developers, and Hunger is their passion project. An incredibly ambitious one when you look at the sheer amount of content and complex systems the game is aiming to deliver. But honestly, the last few years have shown us what small teams are capable of. We're living in a time where AA studios regularly release games that outshine the biggest AAA titles. Just look at Helldivers 2, which started development with only 20 people. Or Baldur's Gate 3, one of the most celebrated RPGs ever made, where the core development team began with just 50 people. And even more recently, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which quickly became one of the highest rated games by players, was created by a team of only 30 developers. Given all that, I'm honestly very optimistic that GoodFunCorp has everything it takes to create something truly special with Hunger. Now, if you're about to ask me when exactly Early Access will launch because you're already getting a little hyped, I'm afraid I can't give you a concrete answer just yet. If I had to make a hopeful guess, I'd say somewhere between June and August. But realistically, it's probably safer to expect the Early Access launch toward the end of the year. If Hunger has caught your interest and you want to stay updated, make sure to follow the official social media channels. I've linked them for you down in the video description. And of course, if you want even more news, deep dives and updates, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything. I hope this video has given you a much better idea of what Hunger is all about and what kind of content you can expect during Early Access. That's all from me for now. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll catch you in the next one.